Hey, Nuclear Dad Gang, welcome back. This is season 2 of the Nuclear Dad Blogcast, episode 1. I am your host and tour guide, E.C. McKeever. It's the fall. It is September, early September. You guys haven't heard from me since late May, early June. I hope everybody had a good summer. I figured out the way that I want to do these podcasts is I want to do an episode dump in about a week. At least that's the goal, to record at least 10 episodes in about a week and just dump them all on you like a Netflix season and let you binge them. I don't know if I'll continue that through season 3, or if in season 2, maybe I'll do 2 a week and span it out. I don't know, but season 1, I was in the flow state. I did 13 episodes in 6 days and gave them all to you. And now we are right back at season 2. I gave you a couple of months to enjoy your summer, marinate, and let some of the content digest in your system. I hope you've assimilated some of the information and applied it to your life. And now we're right back at it. We're going to do it again. So we are going to start this first episode off talking about mental health, men's mental health. There won't be any promos. There won't be any commercial breaks. Maybe a quick pause in between subjects and content that I'm going to be disseminating for you guys. But yeah, man, welcome back. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here. Buckle up, get some popcorn, get a drink, get your favorite beverage, get somewhere comfortable, put your feet up, and take a listen. All right, and we are back. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, men's mental health. It is a subject that we hear very little about because if you're a man and you're listening to this, you know, like I know, it's not always easy to let people in. It's not always easy to talk about your problems because honestly, the world doesn't care. And I hate to sound callous, and there's no malice intended, but that's the God's honest truth. Normally, we get the impression that people don't care, but people do care. I care, which is why I am making this episode. Now, I do not have a ton of resources behind me, but I am actively looking into different organizations and companies that help men with mental health. So I kind of want to be a middleman and at least starting the conversation and saying, hey, if you're going through something, there's somebody out there that can help. And I hope just by listening to this, it'll give you guys the encouragement and the knowledge base to know that there are people out there who care. There are people out there who want to help and people who do not judge you. Sometimes it's hard to open up to your partner because, as we've already established, if you've been listening, it's not always easy to come to your wife and tell her some of the things that's been going on. Yeah, you can tell her a little bit, but she looks to us as the ladies, the women, the wives, they look to us as the pillar of strength. So if we feel like we're crumbling or we're not stable, it's going to create a little bit of instability in her mind, right? She's going to feel like, well, how can I depend on him when he can't depend on him? And I know it gets hard to think about, sometimes you may self-medicate, sometimes you may spiral into depression, sometimes you could have destructive behavior, right? Self-destructive behavior. And that's what we don't want. We want to make sure that us as men, we are in a good state of mind, a good frame of mind, because we have people depending on us. We have the little ones looking up to us, and we are their first superhero. I'm going to always say that. We are their first superhero. And yes, on season 1 episode, I emphasized being dangerous. And we are dangerous, but we have to make sure in being dangerous that we are not a danger to ourselves, right? We want to facilitate strength and stability as well as masculinity. I'm not talking about quote unquote toxic masculinity. I'm talking about being a man, and whatever that means to you. Everybody has a different reference point of what it is to be a man. In generations past, men were out there working with their hands prior to the technological revolution, and now in a post-technical world, a man could be a guy who codes for 10 hours a day. He still comes home equally exhausted because mental stress is parallel to physical stress. While there are different stressors, there are different physical manifestations of those stressors, it's still stress nonetheless. I mean, you could go out here and bust your hump and build houses or build roads or build bridges for 12, 16 hours straight. Come home, you're dead tired. Or you could be a guy that works 2 jobs and you do 18-hour days. You come home dead tired. Or you could be a man that goes out, or in now today's world, work from home and code for 16 hours, or do customer service for 12 hours, or some kind of IT security or data infrastructure for 10, 12, 16 hours. You're still going to be exhausted at the end of the day. You're still going to be tired. So, the idea of what it means to be a man has changed, but biologically, it's still the same. You're still a man. You're still strong. You're still dangerous. But in doing such, we need to make sure that mentally you're doing okay. And so in my regular day job, I guess you would call it, I'm a massage therapist. Majority of my clients are women, but I have clients who are men, and we talk about man stuff. And sometimes we border on subjects that would be considered taboo in the public sphere, right? Some things you can't come out and say on your social media or in a public square because you will be canceled. You'll be socially ostracized, right? People will look at you as someone who is bigoted, or you're not inclusive of other people's thoughts, opinions, and lifestyles. And for a lot of men that I talk to, that's not the case. We really don't care what you do, just as long as it doesn't interfere with who we are and what our lifestyle is. Meaning, we all have the right to be the individuals that we choose to be. And whatever type of man you choose to be that. We don't judge over here. We don't judge the women and we don't judge the men. We may talk about the women, that's a given. But for the fellas, I got your back. So whatever type of man you are, whatever type of man you're trying to be, or you've been and you want to transition into a different type of person because your ideas on life have changed, that's quite all right. But in doing such, stay grounded, stay focused. And there is someone out here who cares about who you are and what you're going through. I'm not a psychotherapist, nor do I pretend to be, but I am a licensed life coach. And part of doing that, I listen to people. I try to help people get out of their own way and maybe give them some tools that they can use to become their better selves, the ultimate version of them, if you will. And I'm currently on that path myself. I'm always trying to improve. I don't always get it right. I'm not perfect. I'm not a robot. I'm not an android. But I try to be the best me that I can be for my wife and for my children. And yes, I have had my own battles with mental health, but we'll get into that a little bit later. We're going to take a quick pause, like really quick. I'm going to pull up some content and read some stats. This is going to be a quick episode, but sit tight. Go to the bathroom if you need to. Hit pause, take a break, and we'll be right back at you. All right, guys, right on back at it. I'm going to pull up some stats. I got 4 quick things to read. I like to try to go to some sources that are credible. And this first one comes from Medical News Today, and the website is medicalnewstoday.com. Now this says, men's mental health, man up is not the answer. And this is written by a woman, believe it or not. Maria Kohut, PhD. And this is from June 1st, 2020. So this is right in the heart of the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? Pandemic with the COVID, right? Think about it. So during that time, there were a lot of people. I mean, in season 1, I talked about how that time in our history affected so many people. And this was written during that time. So let's get into it. Surveys from around the world show that men everywhere find it difficult to open up about mental health. What did I say? Though they are significantly more at risk for attempting suicide than women, in this special feature, we look at why this may be and how to address the issue. In high-income countries, 3 times as many men as women die by suicide, according to the World Health Organization report from 2018. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention also cited, circa 2018, noting that in that year alone, men died by suicide 3.56 times more often than women in the United States. And Mental Health America, a community-based nonprofit, referenced data suggesting that more than 6 million men in the U.S. experience symptoms of depression each year, and more than 3 million experience an anxiety disorder. Despite these staggering figures, the National Institute of Men's Health report that men are less likely than women to have received mental health support in the past year. Why is this the case? Recent research offers some explanations and proposes ways to remedying the solution. So according to this, there's a stigma around men's health. Now, I hate the dated data, but it is what it is. It was from 2018. This is 4 years ago. I'm sure things have probably gotten worse, honestly. But let's keep going. In their 2018 report, the WHO emphasizes that cultural stigma surrounding men's health is one of the chief obstacles to people admitting that they are struggling and seeking help. And this stigmatization is particularly pronounced in men, described in various media as a silent epidemic and a sleeper issue that has crept into the minds of millions with chilling statistics. Mental illness among men is a public health concern that begs attention. Thus, begins a study from the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Canada, published in 2016, in the Canadian Family Physician. The authors explain that perceptive, age-old ideas about gender are likely both part of the cause behind the development of mental health issues in men and the reason why men put off seeking professional help. Another study from Canada, published in Community Mental Health Journal in 2016, found that in a national survey of English-speaking Canadians among 541 responders with no direct experience of suicide, ideation, or depression, more than 1/3 admit to holding stigmatizing beliefs about mental health issues in men. And among this group, male respondents were more likely than females to hold views such as, "I would not vote for a male politician if I knew he had been depressed." Men with depression are dangerous, and men with depression could snap out if they wanted. Among 360 respondents with direct experience of depression or suicidal ideation, more male than female respondents said that they would feel embarrassed about seeking formal treatment for depression. One contributor who spoke to Medical News Today also pointed out that it is not easy for men to open up to their peers about mental health struggles. Talking about mental health isn't something that tends to come up readily in a particular social environments, such as when playing football, he told us. Often, the relationships that are tied into the game and little else away from the pitch, which is a real shame, he added. Okay, so I think they're hitting the nail on the head. Like I said, it's hard for us to open up. And if you're a man and you've been going through some things, it's true. You may have one solid confidant. Story time. There was a point in my life when I was drinking a lot. And I wouldn't say it was from depression. I started drinking socially and it became habitual. And I stopped a lot of social interactions when I had children and when I got married and when I moved to a new location. Because, a lot of my socialization comes from work. I'm talking to clients all day. But I remember when I got to the point where I was drinking a lot and I knew that it wasn't healthy, And I was thinking about, this is not sustainable. I need to stop, or I need to cut back. And I called a buddy and I said, yo, I think I'm spiraling. And he was like, I need you to not be spiraling right now. And I understood where he was coming from. And he's not a mental health professional. But I think what I wanted at the time was somebody to say, well, why are you spiraling? What can I do to help? And, I told him, this is hard. Like, the husband, the father thing. And I wasn't thinking about leaving my family or doing anything to myself. But I thought about this day to day, just being who I need to be for my family. It's not easy. Because, my father, God rest his soul, he passed away when I was 24. So I was still young. I was still doing stuff that I wouldn't do now. I wasn't married. I didn't have children. So the advice that I would ask him now is not the advice that I would ask when I was 22, 23, 24. And now being in my 30s, I needed that advice. I wanted my father to talk to, so I reached out to someone who I knew for a long time. And, he did give me some words of wisdom. It wasn't exactly what I wanted, but I still thank him for, being there and listening. But I realized after that conversation, I got to do this for me. It's not just for my family, it's for me. Because I can't be who I need to be for them if I can't be the man that I know I'm supposed to be, the man that I can be. And I wouldn't say that it's based on what I think a man should be, or maybe it is. Maybe it was the idea of what I thought the man I was supposed to be, or who I was supposed to be. I wasn't living up to that. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. Long story short, I did quit drinking, and it's been 2 years. It's been a little over 2 years. It'll be, 25 months. And like next week, it'll be 25 months since I drank anything. And I didn't seek any mental health therapy. I didn't go to rehab. I leaned on God. And I know some listeners, that may not be their thing. They may not be into God. But if you've been listening to me for a while, on this side, we follow Christ. And that's who I leaned on. And it worked. It worked. So whatever your ideations are on religion or God, you do what's best for you. I know what works for me. I know what my spiritual foundation is. And that's where I am. Okay, back to the article. Further stumbling blocks for men of color. Men of color and men of diverse racial and ethnic backgrounds face additional challenges when it comes to looking after their mental health. According to Professor Norman Bruce Anderson, former CEO of the American Psychological Association, in the U.S., Black and Latino men are 6 times more likely to be murdered than their white peers. I know a few people who've lost their lives to murder, more than a few. Professor Anderson also notes that American Indian men are the demographic most likely to attempt suicide, and that Black men are most likely to experience incarceration. I know more than a few men who are in jail, who have done jail time. According to Dr. Octavio Martinez Jr., Executive Director of the Hogg Foundation for Mental Health, the effect of these disparities on the mental health of people of color and of diverse ethnic and racial backgrounds is a double whammy. Facts. Facts, sir. Add the stigmatization of help-seeking behavior by men of all races to the unique stressors faced by men of color, and it's no wonder men and boys of color are at a higher risk for isolation and mental health problems. These challenges can manifest as substance use or acting out through violence and aggression, which can lead to more stigma and a continuation of the cycle. On top of this, the authors of a study published in 2015 in the Journal of Healthcare for Poor and Underserved point out that medical experimentation on African Americans during slavery laid the foundation of mistrust toward healthcare providers. I'm going to leave that there. All of these issues taken together lay a further barrier of people of color seeking and accessing care for mental health when they need it. Men may have different symptoms. Okay, this is really good. I'm going to let you read the rest if you want to check out the article. medicalnewstoday.com /articles /men's mental health man up is not the answer. Or you can simply Google Medical News Today. Man up is not the answer. Men's mental health. It's a really good article. I'm not going to go too far in it because I want to make these episodes a little bit shorter. A couple of people have told me it affects their ADD. They can't get through a whole episode. So I want to keep them as short as possible. I'm going to take a brief intermission because I have a meeting scheduled. I'll be back. All right, gentlemen. So my meeting is done and I'm back. Seemed like a split second for you, but for me, it was about an hour. Now, I have this infographic from Mental Health America, or MHAnational.org. Quick infographic. So it says the U.S. male population is 151,781,326. And out of that number, 6 million men are affected by depression each year. So that's a quarter. That's a quarter of the male. So if you're in a room with 4 people, you and 3 other people, if it's not you, one of those other 3 people has had a bout with depression. And that doesn't even count anxiety and other things. So it goes through and it says, the 5 major mental health problems affecting men: depression, bipolar, psychosis and schizophrenia, and eating disorders. Fun facts. The highest rates in suicide are found in Caucasian men over the age of 85. Interesting. It says male suicides have been on the rise since 2000. Suicide is the 7th leading cause of death among males, accounting for 2.2% of all male deaths in 2011. More than 4 times as many men as women die by suicide in the U.S. alone. Gay and bisexual men are more likely to develop mental health disorders than heterosexual men. Factors include social isolation, substance abuse, unemployment, military-related trauma, genetic predisposition, and other mood disorders. So in substance abuse, we have alcohol dependency. 1 in 5 men develop alcohol dependency in their lives. I told you I used to be there. Gay and bisexual men. Homosexuality, are men who are homosexual are more likely to have higher rates of substance abuse than heterosexual men. Military and veterans, regardless of their former service, experience nearly twice the rate of alcohol and drug abuse as women. And then you have it in athletes. We see Terry Bradshaw, Brandon Marshall, Larry Sanders, Keon Dooling, Jim Pearsall, and Earl Campbell. These are some of the professional athletes who have had issues with mental health. The science is, it says low testosterone, and we did a whole show on testosterone. Low testosterone is correlated with depression, stress, and mood swings, especially among older men. If you remember, in season 1, our testosterone levels go down as we age. So with low T comes higher depression and mental health issues. Men are less likely than women to seek help for depression, substance abuse, and stressful life events due to social norms, reluctancy to talk, and downplaying symptoms. I'm okay. I'll be all right. That's kind of how we do it, right? I know you know what I'm talking about. Now, I'm not going to read the other 2. I think we're close to the 30-minute mark. This is going to come in about 25, 26 minutes. I want to keep it there. I want to give you just a little nugget to chew on. And I want to let you know that there is help out there. Don't be afraid to talk to somebody. I'm probably going to start like a Discord group, Discord or Telegram. Whenever I put this up, it'll probably be on the YouTube. You check it out on YouTube. I'm going to put some links in the description for either a Telegram or a Discord group where I will have some resources for men to find help they need when it comes to mental health and a couple of other things. But since we're kicking off season 2 with the episode on mental health, I think those will be the first resources that I post. So again, as always, if you remember from season 1, I want you to remember your mission. I want you to remember why you do what you do, why you are trying to become the man that you want to be and the man that you need to be and the man that you see yourself being. I want you to remember that. I want you to stay focused, stay on course, and most importantly, stay cool.